Everybody, Ryan with Rigs of Death Metal. Today we are checking out something special. This is the DoD Death Metal FX86. Let's hear it. Okay, you guys have got to hear this thing in a mix, and you've got to hear it isolated. We'll chat about it a little bit. So this is a long since discontinued pedal. This came out in the 90s. DoD trying to either capitalize or pay homage to the death metal boom of the 90s. You know, what was going on back then. I actually really like this pedal. It's super fun. It kind of captures a lot of those recorded tones, whether they be like a cheaper solid state amp or just a really tweaked Marshall or Mesa. I don't know. This just kind of gets that vibe in general. The controls are hilarious. I'll throw up a still picture here. The controls are RIP, Guts, Pain, and Scream. RIP is volume, Scream is gain, unless I got those backwards. Honestly, it's kind of hard to tell. Guts is the low end, Pain is the high end. Pretty simple. This is I want to say these are probably going for quite a bit more than what they originally sold for. I believe these were meant to be more of like a budget line when they came out, and now they go anywhere from 150 to 200 bucks. I paid around that at Mike's Music. They're in Ohio. Really cool shop, lots of vintage stuff. But anyway, if you do pick one of these up, just kind of a heads up, I'm actually running a 9-volt, so there is a adapter port for some kind of power supply. I'm assuming something proprietary that came with it, because my standard power cables that for my one spot CS12 do not fit. So it must have originally came with something. if there's an adapter out there for it, or if you could find somebody to retrofit it with a modern power supply. I don't know if that's possible. Might be something worth looking into. But yeah, I've had this a while, and I've always had a fondness for the death metal pedals. There were 3 different iterations, I believe. There was this one with the original blood splatter. There was an all black version that came out right after from DoD, and then when I was a teenager, Digitech, after they bought the rights to DoD, they re-released the death metal under a new housing. They all sound pretty cool. This one seems to be favorite, of course, because it's the original, but I'd have to actually do a side-by-side to say if one's any different than the other. Being as old as this is, it does have a couple drawbacks. Mainly, once you have it plugged in, doesn't seem to want to turn off. But if you've got this set up, I assume it's to run it, so you know, I don't see that being that big of an issue with this specific pedal. And I kind of bought it more as a novelty. Like, I actually put this in one of our t-shirt designs before I even bought this one. I've owned one of the Digitech versions for a brief time, and you know, sold it. Not that they don't sound great, but I just have a lot of gear, and something's got to go somewhere. And I think I played this when I first bought it, and I was like, oh wow, that sounds great. Actually compare pretty well with other overdrives to get, you know, a little bit more modern sound, or a little bit more articulate. For the purpose of the demo, I ran it through the Kemper. Actually have a profile of, or several profiles of just a tube power amp. So the EQ and tone that you were hearing in the demo was all the pedal. I was essentially just running it through, you know, a digital emulation of a power amp and a speaker cabinet impulse response. Specifically, it was the, hang on, Cuts and Scratches 2 from Solicitude of Sound. It's just become a favorite of mine, honestly. Specifically, not sure. I know all of his cabs, which I covered in a previous video, they're all a blend of either a Mesa or an EVH cab. But paired really well with this, and the power amp in question was the KSR PA50, which honestly just kind of gave me a really clear representation of what this thing sounds like, because I've also ran it through, I have a Mossvale power amp. When I first bought it, I ran it through that, through a cab, and I think I capture what this thing sounds like in a room. If you were to just run it through a power amp, which you can do the same thing running it through your effects return and just bypass your amps EQ section. But yeah, this is just kind of a cool, I don't know, I guess sort of collector's piece, kind of a time capsule back to really the height of death metal popularity in the 90s. I've been keeping it on my desk just as, you know, like just a centerpiece, I guess. Not so much actually for, you know, day-to-day recording purposes. But yeah, I've been meaning to do this video for a while. If you can find these, or even one of the later iterations for a little less money, yeah, it's a fun pedal to have around just to mess with, especially if you love old school death metal tones like I do. I think I definitely kind of captured that vibe in the recordings. Just very straightforward, bare bones, you know, no frills death metal. But yeah, not much more to say about this, and don't really have anybody specifically to thank, because DoD is long since been absorbed by Digitech, and yeah. So thank you for checking this out. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time. Peace.